So a while back I was watching the Red Crest Cup. Dustin Connell stacks a W on a Scrounger. I'm like, that was pretty cool, right? Fast forward a little bit, next tournament. And we actually did a video on this, dude. Cinderella story, photo finish, Jake Lawrence, Jacob Wheeler. Jacob Wheeler takes second, but guess what? Again, on a Scrounger. And I'm like, I'm starting to see a little pattern here, right? So I jump on Tackle Warehouse, dude. Literally, they have no Scroungers. And that tells me one thing. Guys are using this rig and catching fish on it. So I head out to Guntersville, dude, start slanging this thing. I learned some new things about fishing a Scrounger and stacked up a big bag on some of these offshore summer bass. So hit that like and subscribe button for me. What we're gonna do in this video is break down a technique that's old school, but making a reemergence on the tournament scene. And there's a very, very good reason why. Got him. So what is a Scrounger? I really like to look at it as an upside down crankbait, and it was kind of a jig head minnow presentation before a jig head minnow was cool. Basically, it has a bill that sticks upright. Aaron Martins love to throw these things. Has a big hook on it, especially for your offshore style ones. I'm on Lake Guntersville. I like that big hook. There are some smaller hook options available. The key with it though is the action. And what it does is when you're reeling it, it has this really aggressive rocking back and forth action, much more aggressive than even like a Sakamata shad or some of those new school JDM baits that you dangle a minnow with that do that side to side action. It mimics like a crankbait, it mimics a swim bait, and even aspects of a hair jig. And that's the real key to this cool retrieve that I figured out that I'm about to show you. So basically I went out, found a school on Guntersville, awesome summertime, like, you know, offshore fishing. I go pick up that Scrounger, toss it out, and I'm just kind of slow rolling it through the school. Literally nothing happens. A lot of you guys watch the channel, you saw me do a crankbait video, right? We play around with retrieves with a crankbait where we're doing this power reeling and stopping, power reeling and stopping. So I'm like, how can I duplicate that with a Scrounger? So I throw that thing out there. You kind of got to get it going with a couple slow rolls to get it kind of wobbling back and forth. And I added some English to it. 2 or 3 fast retrieves, dude, almost like a hair jig. And then I tight line it down just like a Kitech. Dude, my line jumps, 4.5 pounder. I'm like, hold my beer, watch this, dude, this is gonna be good. I went to smashing them, dude. Caught a bunch of fish and had like 21, 22 pounds in like 30 to 45 minutes. Absolutely stupid, right? But it's one of those things, and it keeps coming up in these videos. The key to any of these presentations when you're dealing with bass, especially pressure bass, is getting them to react. Not just taking the lure out of the package, throwing it out and reeling it and expecting the lure to do what it needs to do. You need to add something to it. You need to add some kind of aggressiveness, some kind of trigger so that these fish react to it. And the same thing is true with that Scrounger. A lot of us are carrying a whole bunch of minnows these days. And that's one of the reasons I think you see guys like Jacob Wheeler and Dustin Connell actually fishing this thing, is because there's a lot more options of trailers for this deal than there were 5, 6, even like 4 years ago. Like guys like Jason Lambert, guys like these big ledge masters, they were sort of restricted to the Jerky J. It's basically a hard plastic fluke style bait, comes in like 5-inch, 6-inch, 7-inch. Now every single minnow bait is a possible trailer for this Scrounger. So one of my favorites, you can see I already put the target on it too, is this guy right here. This is a Zoom winged fluke. There's a couple reasons I like this guy. One, it has the wings just like the Sakamata. I think it adds a little more rocking action and a little more kind of hunting style action to the Scrounger. The other thing is price point, right? If you're real like highfalutin and fancy, you can do the most ideal, and that's this guy right here. This is a Sakamata shad, but honestly, the price point is not worth the durability, and that's what you get more out of that winged fluke. You get a higher grade of durability, and you do have some sizing options. So that was the 5-inch. This is actually the 6.5, which just came out. So you can kind of modify your bait size. If you got giant bait out there, if you got smaller shad, gives you a lot of options, but gives you that benefit of durability, and the price point isn't too hurtful. A little hurtful, but not too hurtful. Cliff Pace, who I don't really consider a forward-facing sonar guy, designed what's called, this is the high roller, a fluke style bait, but you can see it has these sort of flexing segments or these indentations. And like with a chatterbait, one of the keys to the Scrounger, in my opinion, is letting that Scrounger kind of put its action and move that trailer the way the Scrounger wants to. I don't want to put like a ribbon tail worm or a kicking crawl on the back of a chatterbait or a Scrounger. I want something that offers that straight tail, but offers plastic that's pretty pliable and a shape that's going to take that sort of side to side swaying action and turn it into a swimming style motion. And that's 100% the key with whatever trailer you're going to pick. Have it be a streamlined shad style body, but you want it to be able to pick up that side to side rocking action and turn it into that fluid swimming style motion. One of the most important things about this, even more important than the minnow that you put on the back of it or the head that you use, is setup, dude. And the fact is, you're gonna lose a lot of fish on a Scrounger. It's just one of those things that you learn to deal with. But if you have the correct setup and you're fishing it and trying to land these fish in the correct manner, you're gonna increase that hookup to land percentage. So when it comes down to it, this is a big lead head and it's a big hook, unless you're using the more finesse style. And what that means is when these fish get hooked, you got this big head, big hook, you don't know if it penetrates, and it's bonking around in their mouth, and a lot of times they're able to kind of shake it out. And a lot of times, especially with the retrieve that I showed you, that sneaky kind of fast English retrieve, they're snatching at it, and a lot of times they won't get that hook real good. What you're looking for is a balance between backbone and a whole lot of tip, because these fish are gonna suck this thing up. So you want that rod tip to give a bit, but you also need that backbone to drive that big hook in. What I like is something that I can bomb with, but at the same time has that longer tip for that sort of reaction bite to let them eat it up. This is a 7.3 Halo XD3 medium heavy, not the medium heavy. So I have some flex in that tip. I get a little more length so I can make those bomb casts, but it allows me to kind of feel that bait as it's walking back and forth just like a chatterbait would. And when these fish kind of hit it and suck it up, it gives me a lot of leverage to bend that tip out and really load that rod up. Because a lot of times what you're gonna find is these fish are gonna kind of take slack out under you. They're gonna come up, they're gonna eat it, they're gonna suck it in, and actually right off the bat, you're not gonna know they're there. You're gonna keep on reeling, and that rod's just gonna load up and bend. So you need something that's gonna bend over and then load as it's bending. So something a little longer, 7.3, 7.4, some guys even like a 7.6 line. So I'm fishing in a lot of current, but I also want to keep this bait down. I run 12 or 15 pound fluorocarbon, just Seaguar Red Label. The reason being is I want this bait maybe a foot or two off the bottom, or just maybe even a couple inches in some situations. And that line diameter will allow me to keep it down there while still kind of power reeling it. The other thing is I run, this is an Abu Garcia, this is a Revo. It's about a 7-speed reel, so it's a little bit quicker. You need to kind of have that balance, right? I need to slow roll it with a couple fast retrieves from time to time, but I need that 7-speed to actually catch up with these fish. Like I said, sometimes they kind of take the ground out from under you and they'll be on there. You need to be able to pick up that line and let that rod load up and just put the freaking hammer to them. It's such a fun bite. So it's an old school technique that we used for offshore fishing, and it really grabs those components of that jig head minnow, but in a more aggressive style. And it allows you to mimic such a wide range of baits. A crankbait with that back and forth kind of swimming action, a swim bait, you know, with that slight rocking but that slow roll, as well as a hair jig when you're doing that kind of sneaky retrieve where it's kind of darting up and then fluttering back down. It has its moment. It's not an all the time kind of deal, but I think these fish haven't seen it in a minute, and obviously with the fact that guys are eating it up on Tackle Warehouse and you cannot get your hands on them, guys are catching them on it. And I know I'm freaking smoking them on it, dude. It's a super fun way to target some of these offshore fish, and it's something that you need to have in your arsenal. There's an art to it and a learning curve. So try it out. Do not get frustrated. Keep working it, because you have to learn how the bite works, and then you have to learn kind of these retrieves, because they are kind of nuanced, intermediate to expert level kind of ledge and offshore fishing. But once you dial it in, the payoff can be pretty darn big. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll put links to like the Scottsboro head, the zoom winged fluke, the halo, all the kind of stuff that I use to kind of do this technique down in the description box. And let me know what you think. Are you guys seeing the reemergence of the old school Scrounger in your neck of the woods, dude? Are you fishing it? Are you doing something like it? Drop it down in the comments. I love hearing your stuff. I'm gonna give Bog a pat for you. I'm gonna go throw the old dangle Scrounger a little bit. Later, my homies.